My name is Megan. I'm sitting in my parents' old study, surrounded by the ghosts of the past. The hospital meeting just ended, and the air is thick with unspoken words and newfound truths. My hands are still shaking, but my mind is clearer than it's been in years. 3 weeks ago, my 80-year-old father called me in the middle of the night, sobbing. I'd never heard him cry before. He begged me to come help because family helps family. For 30 years, I'd been the invisible daughter in our family. My sister, Isabella, was the golden child. She got everything. The down payment for a luxury apartment, a high-end sports car, and a lavish wedding that cost my parents $90,000. My parents always boasted about Isabella as their success story, while I was just Megan. But when my parents needed full-time care, when the doctor said they couldn't live alone anymore, they didn't call Isabella. They called me. I asked my father, "Have you tried calling your successful daughter?" The silence on the line lasted 47 seconds. In those 47 seconds, I felt a chasm open up between us, and I knew that everything was about to change. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 16, and Isabella was 19. Our house was abuzz with preparations for her departure to an Ivy League university. My parents threw a huge send-off party with 50 guests, catered food, and a banner that read, "Congratulations, Isabella, future corporate tycoon." I spent the evening running around, serving appetizers, refilling drinks, and clearing plates. My mother handed me an apron and said, "Be useful, dear. This is your sister's big moment." I didn't sit at the main table. I ate standing in the kitchen, watching as my father gave a speech. His voice was full of pride as he announced they were giving Isabella $50,000 for her college education. The guests applauded. Isabella cried happy tears, and my mother beamed. No one even glanced my way. Later that night, I found my father in his study. "Dad, what about my college fund?" I asked. He didn't look up from his papers. "We'll see, Megan. Not everyone is cut out for college. You're more practical." 3 years later, when I wanted to enroll in a vocational nursing program, my mother gently patted my hand and said, "We already spent your college fund on Isabella. But nursing school is cheaper. You'll figure it out." I did figure it out. I worked 2 jobs for 4 years, waiting tables at night and filing paperwork at a dental office during the day. I paid my own way through nursing school. Meanwhile, Isabella graduated debt-free with a degree in business and a brand new car as a graduation gift. Isabella's wedding was in May of 2000. She married Alexander, a wealthy investment banker. My parents spared no expense, spending $90,000 on the wedding. I was a bridesmaid and had to pay $500 for a dress I'd never wear again. When I asked if the bridal party expenses could be covered, Isabella laughed. "Megan, it's not that much. Just put it on a credit card." 2 years later, my boyfriend, Ethan, proposed to me. He was a carpenter, hard working and kind. My parents gave us $3,000 for our wedding. "You understand, right?" my father said, sliding the check across the table. "Ethan seems like a practical man. He won't need a big wedding." My mother didn't come to my dress fitting. She was busy helping Isabella move into a new penthouse that my parents had put $60,000 down on. "It's an investment in her future," my father explained when I asked. "They're just starting out." That penthouse was just a few blocks away from the small apartment Ethan and I were renting. At my small wedding, with 70 guests in our backyard and a potluck reception, I watched my father dance with Isabella while my mother fussed over her shoes. I told myself it was okay, that I didn't need their money. But what I really needed was for them to see me. 25 years later, that fateful phone call came. It was 2:30 a.m. on a Wednesday. I stared at my father's name on the screen for a few seconds before answering. His sobs on the other end of the line stopped my heart. "Megan, it's your mother. She fell in the bathroom. I can't lift her. There's blood." I was out of bed in an instant. "Dad, call 911 right now. I'm on my way." I made it to the hospital in 15 minutes. My mother was already in surgery for a broken hip. My father sat slumped in a chair, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. A doctor approached us. Your wife's surgery will take several hours, but I need to discuss something with you, he said. He explained that my mother would need extensive rehabilitation, at least 4 months, and my father had shown signs of cognitive decline during the intake assessment. They couldn't live independently anymore. The next afternoon, my father asked me to sit beside my mother's hospital bed. Megan, your mother and I are going to need help. Real help, he said, rubbing his face with both hands. I understood what he meant. I'd been a geriatric care nurse for 18 years. I knew the facilities, the costs, and the challenges of full-time care. Family helps family, my father said. I asked, have you called Isabella? The silence that followed was deafening. After 47 seconds, he finally said, your sister is busy. She has her own problems. I pressed, what problems? He didn't answer. Instead, he said, you've always been the reliable one, Megan. Isabella is more fragile. She wouldn't handle this well. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with Ethan. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. What did Isabella say? Ethan asked. Dad didn't call her, I replied. Ethan wasn't surprised. I pulled out a notepad and started writing down numbers. Full-time caregiving meant quitting my job or cutting my hours, which would cost me $70,000 a year. Professional in home care would cost $9,000 to $13,000 a month, and assisted living facilities were just as expensive. Ethan reached across the table and took my hand. You've been saying yes to people who never see you. Maybe it's time to ask them why, he said. I thought about all the times I'd said yes. Yes to working through nursing school alone. Yes to a small wedding. Yes to being overlooked at every family event. What if I say yes again? I whispered. Then nothing changes, Ethan said. You'll disappear a little more every day, and they'll never even notice. The next morning, I did something I'd never done in 30 years. I called Isabella myself. She answered on the 7th ring, her voice thick with sleep. Hello, Isabella. It's Megan. Mom fell. She's in the hospital.
What?
When did this happen?
She asked.
2 days ago. Dad said you were busy, I replied. I am busy, Megan.
I have things going on, she said.
I told her about my mother's surgery and my father's cognitive decline. They need full-time care now. We need to share the responsibility, I said. She sighed. You know I'm not good at that stuff. Taking care of our parents, the medical things, the organizing. That's your world, Megan. Isabella, they need money too. Care facilities cost thousands every month, I said. I don't have money right now.
You have the house, she said.
I don't have that penthouse anymore. I sold it 5 years ago after a bad investment, I said. She was silent for a moment.
Fine.
You want the truth? I'm drowning. Credit cards, living expenses. Alexander cleaned me out in the divorce. I had to sell the penthouse just to survive, she said. How much debt? I asked. She laughed bitterly. $100,000. I sat down hard. Isabella, I'm not judging. I'm trying to understand. For 30 years, you got everything. The money, the attention. And now you can't help. She retorted. You had it easier. You married Ethan. Simple job, simple life. No one was watching. No one was expecting you to be extraordinary. Isabella, I expected myself to be extraordinary. I just didn't need an audience. I worked 2 jobs to pay for nursing school. You didn't have to live up to anything because they never expected anything from me, I said.
Exactly.
No expectations, no disappointments. You got to just be you. I had to be everything, she said. Isabella, our mother is lying in a hospital bed right now.
And you'll handle it. You always do, she said.
That's not fair, I replied. Fair? Since when has anything in this family been fair? She laughed. I'll try to visit when I can, but don't expect me to move back or write checks I can't cash. The line went dead. I called her back, and after 3 tries, she picked up. What now, Megan?
She groaned.
You said I looked down on you. I need to understand that, I said. I don't have time for this, she said. Isabella, for 30 years, you got everything. And somehow you've convinced yourself that I had it easier, I said. You did. You married Ethan. Simple life, she said. I expected myself to be extraordinary. I just didn't need an audience. That's easy to say when you're not $100,000 in debt, I said. Are you asking me to say I'm sorry?
She asked.
I want you to show up for once in your life. I want you to take responsibility, I said. I can't fix this, she said. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to help, I replied. She was quiet for a long time. I don't know how to be what everyone needs, Megan, she finally said. Then learn. We all had to, I said, and I hung up. I decided to drive to my parents' house to gather some things for the hospital. Their house smelled like dust and old books. Dishes were piled in the sink, and mail was scattered on the floor. I found the insurance documents in my father's study, but as I was looking through the folders, I found a worn-out notebook with my mother's handwriting on the cover. Family records. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. My mother had been keeping meticulous records since 1983. Isabella's college tuition was $50,000, her graduation car was $15,000, her wedding was $90,000, and the penthouse down payment was $60,000. There were also countless birthday gifts, emergency loans that were never repaid, and vacations. I flipped to my section. It was half a page long. My wedding gift was $3,000, a baby shower gift was $400, and a few small Christmas gifts. I did the math. Isabella had received approximately $370,000 over 40 years, while I'd received $7,800. I also found their financial statements. Their savings account had $140,000, but when I calculated the cost of full-time care, it wouldn't last long. Over the past 12 years, they'd withdrawn more than $220,000, almost all of it going to Isabella. I called a colleague, Sarah, who managed a senior living facility. She said that with their level of need, their savings would last about 20 months. After that, we'd have to apply for Medicaid. Megan, the hospital is going to want a family meeting before discharge. This is going to get ugly.
Make sure you protect yourself, she said.
That night, I spread everything across our kitchen table. Ethan looked at it all without saying a word. What are you going to do with this? He finally asked. I don't know yet, but I'm not going in blind anymore, I said. I called an elder care attorney, Mr. Johnson, that Marcus knew from a construction project. He explained that family meetings at hospitals were standard to clarify responsibilities before discharge. Legally, adult children weren't obligated to pay for their parents' care unless they'd sign something. But socially and morally, it mattered. If one family member made promises and didn't follow through, it could affect how facilities viewed the family. The family meeting was scheduled for Friday, 4 days away. I called Isabella and left a message. Isabella, there's a family meeting at the hospital on Friday, 10 a.m. You need to be there, even if it's by video call. On Friday morning, I arrived at the hospital's family conference room. Ethan sat beside me, his hand resting on mine. My father pushed my mother in a wheelchair. She looked frail in her hospital gown, but her eyes were sharp.
Dr.
Anderson came in with a thick folder, followed by the hospital social worker, Ms. Thompson. Isabella appeared on the video screen, perfectly made up, sitting in a luxurious living room. Her new husband, Ryan, hovered in the background. Can everyone hear me? She asked. Loud and clear, Ms. Thompson confirmed. My aunts, Aunt Carol and Aunt Helen, joined the call from their homes. Ms. Thompson began. The purpose of this meeting is to develop a discharge plan for Mr. and Mrs. Last name?
Dr.
Anderson will review the medical facts.
Dr.
Anderson explained my mother's hip surgery, the rehabilitation timeline, and my father's cognitive assessment. They cannot live independently anymore. They'll need consistent daily support, he concluded. Ms. Thompson said, we need to decide as a family who will be responsible for what, financially and practically. Isabella jumped in. Ryan and I are going through a difficult time financially. We just got married 8 months ago and are still rebuilding after my divorce. Aunt Carol nodded sympathetically. Ms. Thompson turned to me. And what about you, Mrs. Last name? Before I could answer, Isabella cut in. Oh, Megan can handle it. She's a nurse. She's used to this kind of thing. She doesn't have the same pressures I do. Her lifestyle is more manageable. My father nodded beside me. I took a deep breath. Before we decide who gives what going forward, can we talk about what's already been given? I said. Isabella's smile faltered. What do you mean?
She asked.
I mean that Dad has been very generous with you over the years, Isabella. The penthouse down payment, the car, the wedding, the emergencies, I said. My father shifted in his chair. That's not relevant to this discussion, he said. It's absolutely relevant. You're asking me to take on the majority of care. Isabella says she can't afford to help, but no one's talked about why she can't afford it, I said. Isabella's expression hardened. Are you seriously bringing up money right now? Mom just had surgery. I'm not bringing up money. I'm bringing up fairness, I said. Fairness? You want to talk about fair? I'm the one who had to deal with all their expectations, the pressure. You got to live under the radar, she said. Under the radar? Is that what you call working 2 jobs through nursing school? Is that what you call paying my own way through everything? I retorted. Aunt Carol looked uncomfortable. Maybe we should know, she said. I turned to Isabella on the screen. Isabella, where's the penthouse? The one Mom and Dad put $60,000 down on. You sold it 5 years ago, I said. That's none of your business, she said, her voice rising. MS. Thompson looked between me and the screen. I think it's important for everyone to understand the full picture here, she said. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. I found this at the house when I was looking for Mom's insurance papers. This is Mom's handwriting. She's been keeping records of every financial gift to her children since 1983. I passed a copy to MS.
Thompson.
Her eyebrows rose as she scanned the pages. What is that? Isabella demanded. I began reading aloud. Isabella, college tuition $50,000, graduation car $15,000, wedding $90,000, penthouse down payment $60,000. Between 1989 and last year, various emergency loans totaling $155,000. The numbers filled the room. In total, over 40 years, Isabella has received approximately $370,000, I said. Aunt Helen gasped softly. And what does it say for you, Dennis? Thompson asked gently. I turned to my section. Half a page. $7,800 total, I said. Isabella was shaking her head. Those are lies. Mom would never, she said. My mother's voice was thin but clear. I wrote all of it. Every penny, every date. It's all true, she said. My father stared at the papers like he was seeing them for the first time. Isabella's face went pale. This is insane. You kept a ledger. Like we were accounts to be balanced, she said. I said, I'm not proving anything. I'm showing the truth. And how did those investments pay off, Isabella? You sold the penthouse and you're $100,000 in debt. You have no right, she started. I have every right. You're telling this family you can't contribute to our parents' care. I'm explaining why, I said. The room was silent. MS. Thompson sat down her pen. I think we need to pause and acknowledge what we've heard here. There's clearly a significant history that's affecting this conversation, she said. I nodded.
I'm